we, the armed forces, have decided to take responsibility for the nation. This scene has repeated itself across West Africa. Since 2020, the region has experienced more successful military coups than any other part of the world. In just 4 years, 5 successful coups. 4 countries, 1 region. Why does this keep happening? Why does West Africa repeatedly return to military rule? To understand the present, we must examine the pattern. A coup rarely begins in the barracks. It begins in frustration. Months before soldiers appear on television, something shifts. Protests grow louder, trust weakened. In Mali, widespread demonstration accused the government of corruption and electoral irregularities before the military intervened in 2020. In Burkina Faso, public anger intensified as insecurity spread across rural regions, with armed groups expanding their presence. In Niger, political tension escalated before members of the presidential guard detained the sitting president. In each case, the announcement felt sudden, but the tension has been building. When institutions fail to absorb public frustration, pressure finds another outlet, and in many West African states, the military remains one of the most organized and powerful institutions in the country. Military intervention in politics is not new to the region. After independence in the 1960s, many West African states inherited centralized system of power designed for colonial administration, not participatory democracy. Judicial systems were weak. Political opposition was often fragmented, and the military, structured and disciplined, became a defensive force. Since independence, Africa has witnessed more than 200 coup attempts. A significant number occurred in West Africa. Through the 1970s and 1980s, soldiers frequently justified takeovers as necessary correction, promising stability, anti-corruption reforms, or national unity. Some transition returned power to civilians. Others entrenched military rule for years. Over time, constitutions were rewritten, elections became more common. But history leaves traces. In several countries, the idea that the army can step in during crisis never fully disappeared. It remained in the background, dormant but possible. In the last decade, the Sahel region has faced escalating insecurity. Armed extremist groups expand operations across border regions. Rural communities experience displacement. Military casualties increased. Government struggle to contain violence. Security is the most basic expectation of a state. When citizens begin to feel unprotected, trust erodes quickly. In Mali and Burkina Faso, insurgent activity spread despite years of military operations and international assistance. Frustration grew, and in that atmosphere, the narrative became powerful. If elected leaders cannot secure the country, perhaps the military can. For some citizens, a coup feels less like a disruption and more like a reset. But resets are rarely simple. In several recent takeovers, crowd gathered in City Square. Some waved national flags, some cheered soldiers. To outside observers, this reaction can seem contradictory. Why would citizens celebrate the removal of an elected government? The answer lies in perception. Military leaders often present themselves as temporary guardians. They promise transitional governments. They plead anti-corruption campaigns. They speak the language of reform. And in moments of deep public frustration, those promises resonate. But governing a country is different from seizing power. Security challenges does not disappear overnight. Economic pressure persists. International relationship becomes complicated, and over time, expectation collide with reality. History shows that while coup may remove individuals, they do not automatically repair institutions. So, what is the deeper pattern? Military coups often emerge where institutions are weaker than personalities, where executive power dominates checks and balance, where electoral systems lack credibility, where youth unemployment remains high. West Africa has one of the youngest populations in the world. Millions of young citizens enter adulthood each year with expectations shaped by globalization, but limited economic opportunity. Political systems struggle to keep pace. When economic frustrations meet political distrust, stability becomes fragile. In such environment, the military is not really a security force. It becomes a political actor, not because it is designed to govern, but because it is positioned to act. A coup removed a president. It does not automatically build stronger courts. It does not reform electoral commissions. It does not solve structural unemployment. Without institutional resilience, the circle remains vulnerable to repetitions. West African regional bodies have responded with tension and diplomatic pressure. International partners have recalibrated alliances. Some military governments have pivoted towards new security partnerships. The geopolitical landscape is shifting, but external pressure alone cannot resolve internal fragility. Sustainable stability requires domestic legitimacy, and legitimacy is built slowly through accountable governance, security reform, and public trust. Military coups are not random explosions. They are systems of political system understanding, systems of unmet expectations, systems of unfinished transitions. West Africa is not defined by coup. It is defined by resilience, adaptation, and political evolution. But the region stands at a crossroad, not between civilians and soldiers, but between fragile institutions and durable governance. Until trust in civilians' leadership becomes stronger than the appeal of intervention, the possibility of another televised announcement will remain. If you are enjoying this documentary, click on the subscribe button and see you in the next video.